Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of the West Coast radio program, The Whistler. This episode of the program, entitled 3 Times a Sinner, was originally broadcast April 1st, 1946.
That whistle is your signal for the signal oil program, The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Yes, friends, it's time for The Whistler, rated by independent research the most popular West Coast program in radio history. And remember, let every traffic signal remind you, with new Signal gasoline, you do go farther than ever. Look for the familiar big yellow and black circle sign that identifies those popular Signal service stations in 7 western states from Canada to Mexico. And now, The Whistler's strange story, 3 Times a Sinner.
Lydia Hunter stood alone in the kitchen, watching the coffee bubble in the electric percolator. She knew Gerald would want his coffee when it was over. He always did when anything excited him. And she reasoned quite correctly that nothing excites a man more than being told by his doctor that he's going to die. The attack had come in the early evening, while Gerald was seated at the organ playing a Bach fugue. The music had suddenly stopped. She'd run from the library into the study to find him unconscious on the floor. She'd called Dr. Farmer, and then had made Gerald as comfortable as possible until the doctor arrived. Everything Gerald could expect from his dutiful wife. She stared down at the coffee bubbling in the glass top of the percolator, waiting. Then... that was just like him. The examination was over, and he was back at the organ again. She filled his coffee cup and hurried to the study.
Ah! There you are, Lydia. Just in time to celebrate Dr. Farmer's prophecy of my death. Oh, and coffee. My obedient wife is bringing me my coffee.
No coffee for me, thanks, Lydia. I must be going now.
But it's raining, Doctor.
You see, Richard, I've implied to my wife that I'm dying, and she immediately goes into a report of prevailing weather conditions.
Tell me, Doctor. Is Gerald just being dramatic, or is there something seriously wrong?
Gerald is a sick man, Lydia. And I don't recommend too much of that coffee.
Oh, nonsense. Coffee's my mainstay.
Then it's true. Oh, Gerald.
Oh, Gerald. Oh, come, Lydia. Dry those crocodile tears. They stain your makeup. Furthermore, you know you're deliriously happy. Why, just think, I can slip off at any moment now.
Don't talk like that, Gerald.
It may take years, old man, if you take things easy. Cut out drinking and smoking entirely, of course. Well, I've got to be running along now.
I'll see you to the door, Doctor.
Oh, really, Lydia? Don't you think you can find it after all these months? We don't keep changing around, you know.
Good night, Gerald. Remember, you have as many years as you want. It's up to you.
Of course, Doctor.
It really is serious, Richard.
Nothing to be alarmed about. No vigorous schedule or anything like that, though.
He can't bear a quiet routine.
You'll have to, poor beggar.
You sound sorry for him.
I am. And I wish you could make your pity sound more convincing, Lydia.
Oh, he never believes me anyway. He's always been like that. Look at the rain.
Yes.
When am I going to see you again?
Soon.
That's all? Just soon?
He's suspicious enough as it is. He's bitter and hurt. You've disappointed him as a wife, perhaps through no fault of your own, but he is disappointed and bitter.
Oh.
That can make a man unscrupulous, so be careful.
I don't understand.
I won't say any more, Lydia. Just be careful and be honest with him. Take good care of him. He needs you, and you owe it to him. Good night.
Good night, Richard. Richard,
Yes?
I love you. Oh. Yes, Mrs. Hunter? I didn't know you were here, Martha. Were you going? Mr. Hunter told me I might go, ma'am. Well, I'd rather you stayed a while. What made him say that? I don't know, ma'am. I'd better see him.
Well, Lydia, that was a long farewell.
Why did you tell Martha to leave for the night?
Is it difficult for you to understand that I might like to be alone with you?
But surely
Martha has a perceptive eye and a very sharp ear, Lydia. You'd be shocked at the things she knows. Interesting creature, Martha. She has a sort of feudal loyalty to the master of the house.
You haven't drunk your coffee, Gerald.
Lydia, since you and I are not even friends any longer, would you consent to a divorce?
Leave you now. After Richard's diagnosis tonight?
It was important to you, wasn't it?
Why, of course.
It was important because now you know that soon, perhaps even tonight, you'll be a wealthy widow, free to marry again.
Gerald, must we go on talking like this?
No, not at all, my dear. But I know that you're awaiting my death.
Oh.
That makes me feel as though I were loitering. I don't want to borrow time, a few weeks, a few months. I don't want to borrow your affection, kisses you don't mean, a few soft words of phony solicitude.
Oh, really, Gerald? I don't see why I have to
I don't
stand
want
here
to
and listen.
borrow anything, my dear. And I have a way.
Gerald, where did you get that bottle? It's marked poison.
Yes, quite a coincidence. It is poison.
What are you going to do?
You mean, what have I already done? As you see, there's precisely half a bottle. While you're gone, I pour the other half in my coffee. I'll never taste it. It's supposed to be like adding sugar. All I have to do is lift it to my lips like this, and... I was hoping you'd stop me. You realize what will happen if I drink this, yet you stand there watching, letting your little dreams multiply. Well, I won't disappoint you, my dear. I shall drink it. Like that. And sail off happily on a requiem of Bach. Yes, a requiem, Lydia. Appropriate for the occasion. Tested in the crucible of time.
You can hardly believe it, can you, Lydia? Here it is, happening before your very eyes. You hardly know what to think. All you can do is stand there, speechless, staring at him as he plays on and on. Then... it's happened. At long last. All those wretched years are over, and he lies there slumped across the keys. You stifle an impulse to laugh. You've got to be shocked, Lydia. You've got to call Martha and go through with it.
Martha! Martha, come quickly!
What's the matter?
Something has happened to Mr. Hunter.
Is he ill?
Oh, I'm afraid it's more than that.
He's dead. I know it.
Please, Martha, you've got to get hold of yourself.
So soon. The doctor no sooner told him.
Please, Martha, please, come on.
Gerald! Mr. Hunter! Oh, Mr. Hunter!
Oh, here they are. My servant and my bride. My servant weeps bitter tears over my corpse, but my wife, oh, hers have been lost. The woman who does not blush also does not cry. My dear, you have disgraced your sex.
April 1st, 1946, The Whistler on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of The Whistler, 3 Times a Sinner, April 1st, 1946.
So Gerald had his little joke, didn't he, Lydia? Watching you out of the corner of his eye as he slowly raised the cup of coffee to his lips, putting it down for a moment to tantalize you a little more, raising it again, chuckling to himself when you couldn't keep the eagerness from showing in your face. Yes, Lydia, it was Gerald's little joke. He's made a fool of you, hasn't he? Forced you to show your hand, to come right out and tell him you want him to die. The next morning at breakfast, you're tense and silent, watching Gerald munch happily on his buttered toast as he reads the morning paper.
Have some more coffee, Lydia, darling? No? Oh, come now, dear. It's perfectly all right. Made it myself. Not a drop of poison in it.
Will you be quiet?
Oh, Lydia, Lydia. You're such a comfort to me in my last hours. The beautiful, dutiful wife offering peace and consolation to her lord and master in his declining days, giving freely of her strength.
I've had all I can stand, Gerald. Now that's enough.
Very well, my dear. There's half a bottle of poison on the shelf in the medicine cabinet. Oh, here. Let me butter you a piece of toast.
I'm not hungry.
When are you going to kill me, my dear? Oh, pass me the marmalade, will you? Thank you.
Gerald, why did you do it?
You, didn't answer my question. When are you going to kill me?
I can't stand this any longer.
Sit down, Lydia. There. That's better. I'm very happy about last night, you know. Yes, it brings things right out into the open. I've known for years that the only thing you wanted was my money. Awfully good marmalade. Won't you have some?
What did you do with a half bottle of poison that's missing, Gerald?
I poured it into the fireplace. Still half left, though. Ought to do the job quite nicely. I signed for it at the pharmacy myself, if you're wondering. Told them it was for the moths. So, you see, it's all ready for you, Lydia. Any time you feel in the mood.
What do you want me to say, Gerald?
Well, nothing, Lydia.
Very well. I'll go.
Where?
I have an appointment at the hairdresser's.
Oh, Lydia.
Yes?
Give Dr. Farmer my regards, will you?
I tell you, Gerald was tempting you, Lydia.
But why, Richard? I don't see...
By pretending to be dead, he gave you 5 minutes of being a widow. He wanted you to enjoy that feeling. At the same time, he's shown you how simple it would be to kill him. Practically put poison in your hands. Now he wants you to kill him with it. He wants to die, don't you see?
No, I don't.
It's very simple. He wants that death on your hands, so you'll die with him.
Oh, I can't believe that. Not even of him.
You hang on until you're desperate. But be careful. Don't let him trick you into it.
Into what, Richard?
Murder, darling. Murder.
So you go home, Lydia, and determined to wait him out. He can't last long. There's no point in thinking about it anymore. Time will take care of everything. Get your mind off it, Lydia. Don't think about it anymore.
Murder, darling. Murder.
The words keep coming back like the thought of a new toy to a child. And you can't surrender like a child and turn to thoughts of other new toys. Murder is the only toy you want, isn't it, Lydia? As the days pass, it keeps returning unconsciously. The bottle on the shelf in the medicine cabinet, half full, bought in Gerald's name, flaunting its power at you every day.
Murder, darling. Murder.
And finally, the night comes when you can't resist it any longer. You go into the medicine cabinet and take the bottle, hold it tightly in the palm of your hand, and walk back into the kitchen. When the coffee's done, you pour a cup and add the contents of the dark little bottle. No sugar, Lydia. Gerald has told you the poison is sweet. Now, a little cream. That's it. You're ready now. The bottle is in your pocket, empty. You're ready for Gerald playing on the organ in the library.
Well, Lydia, is that really my coffee or some silly substitute?
It's coffee, dear. You haven't had any in such a long time now. I'm sure Richard couldn't object.
Oh, thank you, darling. By George, I wonder if I'll recognize the taste.
Of course you will.
You know,
What?
I don't think I have a taste for it anymore.
Oh, nonsense. The moment after your first sip, you'll be clamoring for more.
Habit's funny, though. Once you've broken it, it's lost. Friendship, marriage, coffee, all the same. Oh, aren't you joining me?
No, Gerald, I've been too nervous lately.
Mind if I go ahead?
Please do.
What's making you so nervous?
Well, I don't know, Gerald. Past few weeks have been rather strained.
Maybe the awful weather, eh? Well, cheer up, my dear. Spring's on the way. Your spirits can improve overnight, eh?
I suppose so.
Well, here goes. Good Lord, woman, what are you trying to do? Kill me?
Kill you? What are you talking about?
This is hot, Lydia. It's hot.
Oh. Shall I cool it down for you?
No. Oh, no.
What's the trouble?
Oh, it's my heart again. It's acting up tonight. Coffee might be bad for it anyway.
Shall I call Dr. Farmer?
Oh, don't be so anxious. I just better let this cool for a while.
Gerald.
Huh?
Your coffee's getting cold.
Oh, yes. Quite forgot all about it. I say,
Now, what is it?
this is sweet. You sure you haven't put too much sugar in
Oh,
it?
it's just your imagination.
I suppose. That does taste good. Now, my dear,
Yes?
you may put the empty bottle on the organ.
What?
That will make it look like suicide. If they don't find the bottle by my side, you'll be suspected of murder. Go on, put the bottle on the organ. I'm going to play for a while as I wait for it.
So you know.
And you're not at all embarrassed. Not the faintest sign of a womanly blush. You're the worst kind of sinner there is, a deliberate one. You sinned when you married me for my money. You sinned when I tried to commit suicide and you didn't attempt to stop me. And now you've sinned again because you've tried to kill me. Do you honestly think, my dear, that anyone 3 times a sinner can escape punishment?
In a few moments, you'll be dead, Gerald.
Perhaps.
What do you mean?
The sweetness of the coffee betrayed you, my dear. I knew when I first tasted it was poison.
But you drank it anyway. It is suicide, Gerald. You knew all the time.
Oh, you foolish woman. Did you think that was poison I'd left so conveniently in the medicine chest?
Well, of course I did.
Martha emptied the bottle weeks ago. I told her to replace the contents with syrup to see if you'd chance another attempt on my life. Well, you came through very nicely, my dear.
Well, Lydia, he's trapped you again. But why? Why, Lydia? He wants you to die for his murder. You're sure of that. He wants to let you go through all the motions, time and again, only to be frustrated at the last moment. He wants to build you slowly into a rage that will lead you to a crime of violence and a sure conviction. It's clear now, isn't it? Somehow you manage to keep calm, to appear unconcerned as he sits there, playing on that infernal organ.
You don't look disappointed, Lydia. Why? Why aren't you disappointed? A minute ago you thought I was going to die. Now I tell you that I'm not. You aren't disappointed. Why? Why aren't you disappointed? That smile, Lydia, why are you smiling? Wait a minute, you found out about the syrup, didn't you? You discovered it wasn't poison, didn't you? Lydia, answer me. Answer me.
Your coffee was too sweet, wasn't it, Gerald?
Could we have a double cross? The Whistler, April 1st, 1946, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these messages from your favorite radio station. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Whistler, 3 Times a Sinner, April 1st, 1946.
Was it sugar? Or did you put real poison in it? Come, tell me, Lydia.
There's a strange look in your eyes, Gerald, darling. It seems to be getting stranger by the minute. Sugar doesn't do that, does it?
Lydia!
You're taking a new tack, aren't you, Lydia? There's no poison in the cup, but there's a new, deadlier one that you hadn't counted on until now. The poisonous power of suggestion. He actually believes he's dying, and you're making the best of it.
The real poison is sweet, Gerald. Remember?
You're lying, Lydia. You didn't do it.
But I did. Did you actually believe I'd let you make a fool of me again?
When did you buy it?
Yesterday.
I should have known.
It's getting hold of you, Gerald, inch by inch.
No.
Here's the bottle. Here, I'll put it beside you on the organ, just as you said.
Give me that bottle. Come to me. There. Yes, it's empty. Good.
What?
I told them you were trying to poison me.
Gerald, what do you mean?
The police, dear. The police.
Well, Lydia, for once you're a step ahead of him. So he told them you were trying to poison him. You can't resist now. You've got to laugh about it. Relieved, free at last. Gerald slumped over the organ keyboard, dead. So much simpler now. Death of a stroke. No poison, no suicide. No prying medical examiners. Just one thing, Lydia. The bottle. That would cause suspicion, wouldn't it? When there's nothing to be suspicious about. So you take the bottle from Gerald's hand, go down into the basement and crush it to tiny bits with an axe. There's nothing left now but a few fragments of glass. Then at long last...
Yes?
Richard, darling.
Lydia, what's up?
You must come at once, dear. Gerald is dead.
When?
10 minutes ago.
Lydia, you didn't...
Of course I didn't. He died of a stroke, Richard. Oh, you must come at once.
I'll be right over.
Good. And Richard,
Yes?
I love you.
it's over and you're free at last. For the first time since you and Gerald were married, you're genuinely happy. You want to shout it from the housetops. Tell the world that Gerald is dead and you're free. That all his cruel cunning and practical jokes got him nowhere. That the trap didn't work. You almost wish Gerald were alive for a moment, just so you could tell him. But instead, you must sit quietly in the living room in your black dress and wait for Richard Farmer to finish the examination.
What a day.
I can imagine. You'll have a drink in a moment.
So I could use one.
Are you finished?
Yes. Simple deaths can be just as troublesome as suicides and murders, you know.
I can imagine.
Lydia.
Yes?
Lydia, has it occurred to you that Gerald might not have died from a stroke?
Of course not. Why?
He might have committed suicide.
Why, that's impossible. I was with him all last night.
You didn't leave him?
No, not for a moment. We talked quite a bit.
But he might have slipped something in his coffee while you weren't looking.
Oh, don't be absurd, darling. Please don't try to make a suicide out of this. I remember everything clearly. He clamored for coffee. I made it for him. He drank it, and soon after he had the stroke. Why don't you go to let it go, then?
The medical examiner from the police department.
What?
He was the man in the gray suit.
Police? What have they to do with
Lydia, he's analyzed the coffee cup and found it contained poison.
But Richard... Martha! Martha!
Yes, ma'am?
Martha, tell me. About that bottle of poison in the medicine chest. You emptied that bottle, didn't you? You replaced the poison with syrup.
I don't know what you mean, ma'am. I never touched the bottle.
Martha, you...
What's the matter, Lydia?
He did it. It was a trick.
Lydia, dear, don't worry about it. Everyone knows it's suicide. You just didn't see him pour the poison into the cup, that's all. And if he didn't leave the room, as you say, then the empty bottle must be somewhere in the room with his fingerprints on it.
The bottle?
That's all the evidence the examiner says they need. Just the bottle, don't you see, dear? Lydia. Lydia, what's the matter? You look white as a sheet.
April 1st, 1946, The Whistler on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we head back more than 80 years to April 1st, 1935. Thanks to Ted at RadioMemories.com for these restored episodes of Lum-and-Abner. And it seems that Lum-and-Abner are rolling on with the circus.
Howdy, everybody. Here we are, all ready to take you down to Pine Ridge for another visit with Lum and Abner. And now, let's see what's happening down in Pine Ridge. Well, when we left Lum and Abner last week, they had just received a telephone call from Squire Skimp, who was in charge of their circus at the county seat, informing them that a heavy windstorm had blown down the tent, and that the 2 elephants and some of the other animals had broken loose and were terrorizing the citizens of the town. Well, the old fellow's made a hurried trip to the county seat to straighten out the difficulty. And apparently everything is running smoothly again, for as we look in on Pine Ridge today, we find Lum and Abner down at the Jot 'em Down store, where Grandpappy Spears is looking after Lum's interests. Listen.
Well, Lum, if you're going to be here at the store for a few minutes, I'll take this batch of groceries on over to Seastrunk's. She says she's in a hurry for 'em.
Yeah, all right, Grandpapa. I'll stay here till you get back. Me and Abner's got some business to straighten out here.
Yeah, go ahead, Grandpap.
That voice of yours, Abner, sounded like you was hollering down a well.
Yeah, you reckon them spectacles of mine could have affected my voice too, Lum?
I don't know, it might have.
Yeah, I believe they'd give me a cold somewhere.
Affected my head. I mean, it's given me a headache, I know that.
Oh.
Well, let's get down to business. What do you want to do, Abner? You want to give up, quit right here, or go on?
Well, we might wait and see how we come out over at Belleville this week before we decide.
If we don't do no better than we done in there at the county seat, I'm in favor of just getting shut of it.
Well, I still don't see what kept us from making some money in there, Lum. They had uncommonly big crowd.
Yeah, but the expenses is eating us up. The overhead.
The what?
The overhead.
Well, why don't we just cut that out then?
Cut out the overhead?
Yeah, if that's what keeps us from making money, why, we can just cut it out.
Well, we got to have some overhead.
No, I don't know, Lum. Not with this pretty weather. I believe we can do without it. If it rains, why, we can just call the show off.
You don't even know what I'm talking about. What's the weather got to do with the overhead?
Well, we just wouldn't need no tent if the weather stays pretty.
The tent ain't overhead, Abner.
Well, it's supposed to be. That's what a tent's for.
The overhead ain't got nothing to do with a tent. It's the...
Oh, now, I know what you're talking about now, sure. What's the matter with me? Why don't we fire every one of them trapeze performers then, Lum, if they're what's running up the expense?
Abner, for goodness sake. Just because the trapeze performers is up in the top of the tent, that ain't no sign they're overhead.
Well, maybe they ain't, but they sure look like it to me from where I was sitting.
Well, they're overhead, but they ain't overhead. Overhead is expenses, like what the elephants eat. That's overhead.
Oh, you mean hay, huh? Well, why didn't you say so?
What all the animals eat, and what the fat woman eats, and all.
You mean the fat woman's eating hay, too?
Oh, I'll swan, Abner, you're the hardest feller to explain anything to I ever seen in my life. The overhead is all the expense of the circus. Squire Skimp is overhead.
He is?
All the advertising, wages we're paying the performers, and all such as that. You see, any business has got overhead to it.
Man, what if they don't have no elephants to eat hay?
Well, they'll have some other kind of overhead. Like here in the store. The business here, my overhead is Grandpappy Spears. If it wasn't for the overhead, a body could make money in any business.
Man, if I was you, then I'd just fire Grandpap. Get somebody in here. It weren't no overhead.
Well, it ain't his fault.
Can't you make him stop it?
Stop what?
Why, being overhead expense, eating hay or whatever it is he's doing.
He ain't doing nothing, I told you. If I got somebody else in here, it'd be the same thing.
Well, I swan to goodness.
You still don't know what I'm talking about, Abner. What I'm trying to tell you is we've got so many expenses, they're eating up the profits. I'm trying to figure out where the trouble's at.
Yeah. Well, it just looks to me like there's too much eating going on.
Well, just forget about the eating. Now, here's a statement Squire made out for us when we was in there Saturday, showing what we took in and showing all the expenses.
It is.
That's what I called you to come over here first, so as we could sit down and figure this thing out.
You mean that you think he's made a mistake in his figures, huh?
No, but we can tell by this where we can cut down some of the overhead. According to these figures here, we taken in $416 for the 2 days in there.
Well, fine. Yeah, let's see now. Half of $416.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. That's what we're taking in. Don't start dividing it up yet.
Well, I thought we was in partners on it. Half of it belonged to me.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. The overhead ate it up.
You mean to say that Squire and the elephants and the fat woman ate up $416 worth of overhead?
They ain't the only overhead we've got, Abner.
Well, Grandpappy Spears ain't eating off the circus too, is he?
Abner, if you'll be quiet a minute, I'll explain the whole thing to you. Here, I'll read Squire's report and you can see for yourself.
Well, I doubt where I can see it with these spectacles on, but go ahead and read it. I'll take your word for it.
These are the biggest figures Squire made I ever seen in my life.
I can't see them.
Looks that way through these spectacles. Receipts, that's the amount we took in, see, $416.
Uh-huh.
Expenses, this is the overhead. Here's where we've got to find the leak.
I thought you said it weren't the tent.
Shut up and listen. Explain it to you. Feed for the animals, $87. Moving circus to county seat, $40.
Yeah.
Performers and circus hands, wages, $160.
That's awful high.
Advertising, that's handbills and the one sheets, I believe he called them, and posters and stuff like that. $92.
$92?
Yeah. Well, we've got to advertise it if we're going to get anybody to come in there.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Damages on tent when blown down by a windstorm, $38.
Yeah.
Damages done by elephant when he broke loose, that's that fruit stand he wrecked, $26.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised to get out of that. Squire said he just tore that whole thing up.
Oh, yeah. Expense of recapturing animals, rewards, and so forth, $43. The squire said that included some damages that the camels and the zebra done when they was loose, too.
Yeah.
And feed for the fat woman, 2 days, in parentheses. 16,
In where?
In parentheses.
I thought it was in the county seat.
Well, it was, but never mind. 2 days, $16.
You mean it cost $16 to feed her for 2 days?
That's what he's got down here. I asked Squire about that, and he said that was money well spent, though. See, the more she eats, the fatter she'll get, and the fatter she gets, the more people want to see her, and the more people wants to see her, the more money we'll make.
Yeah, but she ought to feed herself, Lum. We can't afford to buy grub for her. Costs more to feed her than it will them 2 elephants.
Yeah, but Squire said we'll make it all back on the slim man, though. He made the same kind of a deal with him.
Oh, well, that's all right, then.
See here, next item. Food for slim man, $1.20.
Uh-huh.
Incidental expense, $20. That's the last item there.
What's that?
Incidental? Well, it's, well, it's just little things that he had to buy. Tickets and paint and extra help and one thing or another. Anyway, the whole thing figures up to $522.20, making us lose $106.20.
We lost that much money?
Yes, Squire had to stand some of the performers off before they could get him to let him move the circus on over to Belleville.
Well, now, they ought to be paid, Lum.
I know it. It's got me worried to death.
Oh, my.
And we owe $50 to that trucking company for moving them over to Belleville.
Is that what they charge?
Yeah. Of course, if they do well over there at Belleville, we might can pay them off and make a little money ourselves. That is, if they don't have no windstorm to blow the tent down again. Now, that's what ruined us in there at the county seat, that storm.
Yeah. But you know, Lum, I don't trust that Squire too far neither. We ain't got no way of telling where he's turned in all the money he took in or not.
Well, I don't know, Abner. I can't help but believe Squire's honest about this report.
Well, I believe one of us ought to sell tickets, and then we know we're getting all the money that comes in there.
Well, I can't do it with these spectacles I bought, I know. See, they magnify things so bad, don't nothing look right. Dime looks about like $50 to me. I can't even make change here in the store.
Well, why don't you take your spectacles off, then?
Well, I can't see nothing then. I've wore these glasses now to where I have to keep them on. What about you selling tickets?
Oh, Lord, I couldn't see nothing, Lum. I can't see nothing with mine on or without 'em, either one.
You know, Abner, I hate to say this, for he appeared to be such a nice feller, but dad blame if I don't believe that spectacle salesman give us a very good fit in them glasses we bought off of him.
Well, I never like to say nothing either, Lum, but I'm beginning to have my suspicions about him myself. He said that my eyes get used to 'em, but I dog it, I believe they're getting worse.
Yeah, and I bound you these specs had something to do with these headaches we've been having.
Well, I tried to see him in there Friday, but he ain't with the circus no more.
Why, he has done it. I seen him talk with him.
No, that ain't the same feller, Lum. They look alike, but I jumped on him about these spectacles of mine not fitting, and he said that he never had saw me before.
Yeah, he tried to tell me that, too, but Wait a minute, that's the store's ring. Somebody wanting some groceries, I reckon.
Yeah.
Hello? This is the Jot 'em Down store. Lum-Edder's talking. Mom? Oh, all right, I'll hold it. Belleville calling. Must be Squire making a report.
Yeah, must be. I hope they ain't had no more storms over there.
Hello? This is him.
Blow that tent down.
Yeah, I allowed it was you, Squire. Yeah, how was business today? Huh? What's the reason you never? $200?
Well, that's a pretty good business, yeah.
Well, Abner's here now. We'll try to raise it some way or other. I'll call you back after a while. All right. Goodbye. Squire says there's a city license there at Belleville, and it'll cost us $200 cash before he can open the circus up.
Oh, my goodness alive.
Yeah, we just wonder how long Lum is going to be able to make enough money out of the Jot 'em Down store to keep that circus running. This is Carlton Brickert speaking for Lum-and-Abner and Horlicks, who now bid you all good night and good health.
It's always the little things, the little expenses that eat you alive. Lum-and-Abner originally broadcast April 1st, 1935, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And you got to remember, $200 in 1935 is over $4,000 today, and that's not the sort of money that you keep in your back pocket. It isn't. And you know what you should keep in your back pocket? Ted at RadioMemories.com, who supplies us these shows. He can help you get a classic radio collection started on your own cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. RadioMemories.com. Tell Ted I sent you by. And visit our webpage while you're on the internet, classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there, find our social media links, and if you're so inclined to help us, you can buy me a copy. The Buy Me a Coffee money helps us maintain our distribution channels and also helps us acquire additional classic radio collections. That's at classicradio.stream. Thank this station, support their advertisers, and tell your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.